Didn't know today would be our last, or that I'd have to say goodbye to you so fast. I'm so numb I can't feel anymore. I'm praying you just walk back through that door and tell me that I was only dreaming. You're not really gone as long as I believe. There will be another angel around the throne tonight. Your love lives on inside of me, and I will hold on tight. It's not my place to question, only God knows why. I'm just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight. Always made my troubles feel so small, and you were always there to catch me when I'd fall. In a world where heroes come and go, well, God just took the only one I know. So I'll hold you as close as I can, longing for the day when I see your face again. But until then, God must need another angel around the throne tonight. Your love lives on inside of me, and I will hold on tight. It's not my place to question, only God knows why. I'm just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight, singing hallelujah. Just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight.
Please be seated. Family and friends, my name is Paige Gilharvey, and on behalf of Peter's family, I thank you for joining us here today to celebrate the life of Peter Ramon Elari, a man who touched the lives of so many. I would also like to welcome Peter's family and friends who are unable to join us today and are joining us via live stream. Your virtual presence is deeply appreciated as we remember Peter. We gather here not to mourn the passing of Peter, but to celebrate the rich and vibrant life he lived over 70 years. Known by various names, Peter, Pedro, Gidgy, Dad, and Pappy, each name reflects a different facet of the wonderful person he was. Peter was a devoted husband to Julianne, a loving father to Casey, Jamie, Samantha, and Jaden, and to his 9 grandchildren, he was affectionately known as Pappy. His presence in their lives brought joy and warmth, creating cherished memories. As we reflect on Peter's life, we remember his passions and hobbies, each contributing to his character. A black belt in Taekwondo, Peter knew the importance of balancing life, enjoying games of pool and darts, often accompanied by a cold beer with friends and family. Peter's personality was full of happiness, fun-loving, and a cheeky sense of humour. His laughter was infectious, leaving an indelible mark on those around him. His passion for hard work was evident in every aspect of his life. In times like these, it's essential to focus not on the loss we feel, but on the legacy Peter leaves behind. His impact on each of you, his family and friends, is a testament to a life well lived. We will now come together in reflection as I share the Lord's Prayer. Please feel free to join in. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us for our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. As we continue to honour Peter and share our memories, I now invite Peter's brother Daryl forward to continue our sharing.
My two sisters, Rosalind and Colleen, are going to join us. They've got a couple of things that they'd like to say as well. Just before I start, I've got a few messages from some of his army buddies and from Ian, his younger brother. Something that defined Peter to me. Many, many years ago, our grandfather lived with us and we called him Bampa. Bampa had two things that he drummed into us. A firm handshake, and anyone who ever shook hands with Peter would know what I'm talking about. Look the person in the eye. The other thing was, if you're going to do something, do it right the first time. I'm not sure whether we all got that right, but the handshake definitely did. What happened many, many years ago, our grandfather, who was a plumber, had a hand like a vice. And he used to shake hands with us, especially after a couple of brandies, and make sure we knew we'd been shaking hands. For years this went on, and he'd say to us, "Come on, you boneheads, I'll teach you how to shake hands." Many, many years later, I got to 16 and I thought, I can take him. And I said to Peter in the back room at Coolbalup, where we were living at the time, I said, "I'm going to teach the old bugger a lesson. I'm going to hurt him." And Peter said, "Stop and think about it." He said, "You can't do that to him. He hasn't got long left to go. Think of his dignity. Don't do it." Something that I've never ever forgot and defined Peter. So there's a couple of messages from his friends in the army. Excuse me. Old age defines that I put my glasses on so that I can read it. This one's from Fergie, who unfortunately due to illness can't be here today. Met Peter 49 years ago in the army. Peter being a West Aussie, we instantly became friends. Peter taught me how to cook baked beans without using a frying pan. Also how to iron a set of greens and look half smart. Peter was always great fun to be around. He was an expert at lassoing white road posts from a moving army vehicle. If it was Olympic sport, he would have won a gold medal. Peter, you had a great work ethic and you have always been a fabulous family man. I loved hearing about your growing family and grandkids over the years. How proud you are of every one of them. We certainly enjoyed our reunions, travelling to many states with lots of stories, laughter and too many beers. I finally got to visit Green Acres and meet Lil. I had to ask Julie what that meant. That was their farm and the tractor. Julianne, you have been a rock. With your love and caring devotion for Peter. Rest in peace, Peter, till we meet again, old mate Fergie. To a great mate, thanks for the memories and the laughs and our reunion trips. Condolences to Julianne families. Rest in peace, Peter. Bob Morrow. You'll have to bear with me a little bit with this one. It's fairly small. Our brother in arms. Today we lost a mate, a brother, a friend and a family man. He left us with many good memories and touched the lives of in so many ways. He was someone special by just being himself. He had a great sense of humour, a cheeky smile and the character of an urchin. He sometimes was a rebel, but if you were in trouble he would always be there to help you, providing he didn't have to stop eating his burger while you and the others sorted the issue out. This is Shorty speaking. Can recall the times when on leave, Pete and I would sit on the back veranda of his parents' home, drinking, unusual, singing and talking to Fred, the family cocky, in a slurring, drunken lingo that only we could understand. The bird loved him and Pete was the only one, including the family I believe, who could put his hand in the cage without getting it mauled. Fred must have hated those nights but loved Pete. We wish to let you all know how much he meant to us as a friend. There are heaps of memories Jono and I could mention, but we would rather leave them for when we meet again, Pete, so we can sit down, have a beer and a good laugh. He has left behind a beautiful wife and family, and we pray that the grief they are feeling today will pass, leaving sweet memories in its place. From us, your brother in arms, Pete, we love you. God bless and may you rest in peace. Shorty and Jono. Whew. A couple of things from Ian, his younger brother. Apparently not long after Pete and Julianne were married, Ian decided he'd go around and visit Pete and take a regular carton with him. And after a few, they decided they'd start telling Kiwi jokes. Peter assured Ian that J.A. wasn't worried with this, but after a while Peter decided he'd better tell Ian, we better stop, she's crying. Another occasion, when Ian had a broken ankle and had a cast on it, he and Peter and decided to go out for a feed. Ian forgot his crutches and they met a girl who Peter had the hots for before he met you. She was a nurse, so Ian played on the broken ankle and pissed Peter off. Ian got the girl with his sympathy act. Peter wasn't happy. Another one that Ian recalls fondly is they used to love to go and watch the Boxing Day tests together, and normally a lot of times it was on camping trips. One particular one that an argument broke out over Brett Lee. Ian had read in the paper on the Friday that Brett Lee was 21. Peter said he was 23. Neither of them liked to be wrong, decided, well, we're going to have a carton on this. So Peter then grabbed the paper and said, gotcha. Showed him the Saturday paper where it said Brett Lee was turning 23. So Ian went and got his paper and showed Peter where Brett Lee was turning 21. They then proceeded to drink the 2 cartons that they'd bet. Another saying that Ian would cop from Peter, especially when Ian, if he was having any issues or anything, would ring Peter up, whether it be about floor sanding, and he'd be arguing with him about what you should be doing and what Peter was doing and in his personal life. And Peter would have enough and say to him, you buys your ticket, you take your ride. And he constantly said that to brother Ian, so Ian will certainly miss those chats. I'll quickly read another one that I got, that a lot of it will be covered in what I'm going to say and what Jamie's going to say. Peter joined the army in 1974 and left in 1976. He was in the army for 3 years, the minimum amount of time. He was in 88 transport driving trucks. He made many friends and they still catch up with a bunch of them every couple of years on a week trip with their partners. They drink, reminisce and then plan the next catch-up. To his mate Fergie, who unfortunately has terminal cancer and couldn't make it here today, as he is so unwell, love you mate. I'll catch you on the other side, waiting with a beer in hand and a few more stories to share. Pete had a few different jobs. He did a carpentry apprenticeship, cleaned with his stepfather's cleaning business. He worked in the Commonwealth Bank for a short time, a delivery truck driver, the Army, linesman for the SEC, and he never stopped reminding all his brothers that he was the only one in the family that had the two qualifications as a carpenter and a linesman. And 35 years ago, he went into floor sanding, and that became his most passionate job that he had. Peter loved a good argument, can't believe that, especially when he was right, which he said was all the time. Generally, he would smile and have a laugh about it later. I'll let the girls, I've got a couple of things to say, and then I'll talk about Peter's younger life. So Colleen will go first.
My beautiful brother Pete, I will miss you more than you will know, but take solace in knowing that your soulmate Julianne and your wonderful children and grandchildren will draw strength and love and continue to make you proud. I will miss your zany sense of humour and being called Squirt. Give Mum and Ricky and Garth a hug for us and catch up with Dad. I love you, sis.
And now Rosalind.
My notes are too small, so I have to try and remember. Pete came and lived with Mike and I for about a year, and he had a job that when he'd come home, he'd take his shoes and socks off, and honestly, the socks would stand up and they stunk. And we used to say, Pete, those socks are going to walk out of the room one day. That's lots of funny things with Pete. On the farm with Daryl, Pete and I, Ian and Garth were a bit young. We used to build cubby houses, climb trees. Daryl taught us how to play cricket and footy, and me being a tomboy, I wanted to be in there with them. Pete, I'm so proud to say that I was your sister. Julianne, you've been a rock. We love you so much and all of your family. Pete, it's time to rest now. Love you so much.
Thanks for those heartwarming memories, girls. Peter was born on the 4th of October 1953 on his mother's 34th birthday. He was the sixth child of Roma and Fred, and in later years was joined by two younger brothers to Mum and Jimmy. In the early years, he was born in Perth. The early years we lived in the North Perth area, and in the early to mid-50s we shifted to Collie, and later to the Wellington Weir. During this time, unfortunately, there was a massive family breakdown which resulted in our parents going their separate ways, and that created somewhat of an issue for all of us, and we were fortunate that for a couple of years our older sister Colleen acted as our mum, especially for Rosalind, Peter and myself. She looked after us, she cooked, she washed, she made sure we went to school and did all the things that a mother would do. And Peter never ever forgot any of that, and I'm just the same as Ros and I haven't. Things after when the Wellington Weir was coming to an end, things become a little bit more difficult, and it was decided that Peter and myself would be placed into a children's home. That was called Mofflin in East Victoria Park. During the time that we're there, Peter attended his first school at East Vic Park Primary. They were strict, but they were fair, but it taught Peter and I to become bonded and to become very, very close. Peter, being rather small in stature as a young fella, was bullied a lot, but for a guy his size, he was extremely strong and taught plenty of people a lesson not to bully him. And if that didn't work, he would turn to me and I'd finish it. And that's really why we become so close. In our time there, a lot of people in here, especially the younger ones, won't know what Guy Fawkes Night is in November. We took that as a time where we'd go to the news agency and pinch as many crackers as we could from the counter and take them back. We'd then find all the mums' rooms in each house had a mum in a room, and we'd set penny bombs and all sorts of things off outside their room and scare the living daylights out of them and make sure we hid so we didn't get into trouble. During the time at the home, we were lucky enough to go to the first game of football at Lathlane Park between Subiaco and Perth. Well, the first Subiaco-Perth game, I think, and that's when Lathlane Park was officially opened. From that day onwards, as you can see, Peter became a passionate Subiaco supporter because he was scared of what I would do to him if he ever changed his mind. Ian joined us and became just as mad as us. Unfortunately, Garth and Ros followed Mum and Bamp and become royal supporters, East Perth, yuck. In 1961, Peter and I were trying to play tennis, and for a religious place who sent us to Sunday school every Sunday, the matron of the home come down, stood at the fence and called out, "Daryl, Peter, just want to let you know your dad died." That hit Peter and I between the eyes, as you can imagine. She then turned around and walked away. It seemed a blur for Pete and myself for some time that we weren't sure what was in store for us. You know, we had a dad that was dead, we had a mum that we didn't really know where she was, what we sort of did, but prior to Dad's death, she was basically in hiding for her own safety. As soon as that, or within probably a month of that happening, Mum and Jimmy decided that they would get married, which they did, and we all moved to Uluru. While we were there, by then Peter was in grade 3, Ros was in grade 4 and I was in grade 5, and Peter was asked to sing. So he stood up, he's about this tall, he stood up and burst out crying. "I can't sing on my own." And I thought, oh good, they'll get Ros to sing, 'cause she's a good singer. And the teacher turned around and said, "Daryl, stand up, you join him." Again, thanks Pete. Well, no one ever asked us to do a duo again, ever. You've never heard anything like that come out of two mouths. After that we went to Pingelly, then to Balaring, and finally we went to Bruce Rock, Ardith and Bruce Rock. A short stint in Maylands, then back to Ardith. While we were down in Maylands, Peter and I managed to crack ourselves, even though we were young kids, a job on a fruit and veggie truck for a guy called Dean Sparks, and he was a SP bookie, so he used to leave Peter and I in charge of it. So we were good at saying, well, there's $1 for him and it's 50 cents for us. If we were doing all this work, he was only paying us 10 bob a day, but Peter and I would normally come home with about £2. When we finally moved to Perth in 1960, or we finally moved to Perth in 1966, and for a short time lived in Coolbellup, and Peter attended and finished his schooling at Hamilton Hill Senior High School. Following that, he then went into the workforce and did his apprenticeship in carpentry. During the football season, Ian, Peter and myself, every week, every single Saturday, off we'd go, hitchhiking, to go and watch Subiaco, whether they were playing at Bassendean, and in those days, to get up to Midland, you know, it was a cut lunch and water bag trip. It's not like just down the Roe Highway now. So up we'd go, and we always managed to get to the games, and we'd always come home excited as anything because we could win next week, which we normally didn't do. And we went through many years of being a team that looked like getting kicked out of the competition. But it didn't stop us from being passionate Subiaco supporters. Then finally, in 1973, the mighty Lions roared and broke a 49-year drought, won their flag, and I believe Peter has still got the cuttings and paraphernalia from that game. did we celebrate after that. I didn't drink in those days, but I went home very drunk. Peter, once the Eagles joined, he became a passionate Eagles supporter, but he never ever forgot Subiaco, and that was, I believe, his first love with footy. Right up until this last season, on a Saturday afternoon, phone would ring or I'd get a text, and I'd say to Shelter, "This will be Peter," and if we'd won, it was how good they were. He was as excited as anything. If we'd lost, bloody umpires cheated again. In his teenage years, Peter, myself and our cousin Georgie spent a lot of time together getting up to all sorts of no good. When Peter discovered beer, we used to clean the Ozone Hotel. And one of the, Colin Cole, the licensee, used to say to us, the police station was over the road, and he'd say, if any of the boys come over, let them in, they have a couple of beers. This could be at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then just let them out. Once Peter decided he'd like beer, he decided, well, it's good enough for them, I'm joining them. Many times I had to go and try and wake him up. 1, to help me finish, and 2, so he could go home. The next thing that happens in families with lots of boys is there's always this, Jesus, you've got a big nose. Well, yours is bigger. And the arguments would start. Who's got the biggest nose? Who's got the biggest hands? You've got ears like a taxi running down the street with the doors open. And when there was six of us boys doing this, it became quite rowdy and boisterous. And then it would lead to who's got the biggest. I'll leave that to your imagination. The other thing... Your papa would love that. The other thing that Peter always did, and if you ever have a look at any photos, except I think in our wedding photo, Peter always looks taller than me. As soon as we stood together for photos in a group or whatever, Peter would go and stand on his toes. Sorry, Pete, I had you covered. Not by much, but I did have you covered. As I mentioned, he had a number of jobs. I was fortunate enough working in the Commonwealth Bank to get a fair bit of feedback about Peter when he was in the bank. And that was cut short under unfortunate circumstances, but he was very highly regarded, extremely highly regarded by senior management in the bank. And in a way, him leaving was probably good because he probably would have finished up doing what I was doing and I probably would have finished up being down the ranks somewhere. He was that good, people thought. Like we've talked about, he spent 3 years in the army, but the thing that he really loved doing, and we used to have lots of discussions about his floor sanding, he spent 35 years where his attention to detail made him a first choice sander and with an outstanding name. And he was very, very proud of that, and any of us that have had work done by him would know just how thorough he was. Peter lived with Sheldon and myself for a short time in the, I think it was the late 70s, maybe early 80s. But we noticed him spending a lot less time with us towards the end. And we sort of wondered what we were doing wrong, whether we were upsetting him at all. But we soon found out that he'd met the love of his life in Julianne. And once that happened, I guess I could say the rest is history. 4 beautiful children and their partners, 9 grandkids. Speaks for itself. Finally, I could talk to you all about the truck trip from Ullering to Ardith, but my sisters have told me they're going to kill me if I do. But over a beer sometime, ask me about it and I bet I can make you sick. Peter came into the world. Peter had 2 women who influenced his life. in the 70 years he was on this earth. He came into the world with his mum at his side, and 70 years later departed with the love of his life, Julie, at his side. So, love you, Pete. Thank you.
My dad was an extremely funny, kind, loyal, strong man. He was the best, and he was my hero. He loved the West Coast Eagles, Subiaco. He loved his animals dearly and cried when each one passed, but not the 28 goldfish. He would catch spiders and kill the scary bugs for me. He would send recipes to me to try from newspapers that he thought I would like. My memories of my dad I cherish fondly, like when we were children and he would sneak us a bedtime snack. He would tell the most elaborate bedtime stories of princesses and princes, and we were the main characters of each story. When he would put our beloved cat Puss Puss on his shoulders and walk around with him, I was desperate to do it too. He was patient to help teach me, not so patient teaching me math or telling time. But eventually, I got Puss on my shoulders. He never stayed, not like he would sit on Dad, but I was excited when he did it. My first job was working at McDonald's, and I would often have to open the store. Dad would drive me, and we would play a guessing game. What temperature was it at 5 a.m? At Kramer and Neil, they had a weather sign that we would pass by, and the closest one. He is kind and generous father-in-law, and he is the best pappy any grandchild could ask for. He always played with his grandchildren, told jokes, and always had each of them wrapped around his little finger. I have found a poem I wanted to share with you by David Harkins. He is gone. You can shed tears that he is gone, or you can smile because he lived. You can close your eyes and pray he will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all he has left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see him, or you can be full of love you shared. You can turn your back on tomorrow and live yesterday, or you can be happy for tomorrow because of yesterday. You can remember him only that he is gone, or you can cherish him. You can cherish his memory and let it live on. You can cry and close your mind, be empty and turn your back, or you can do what he'd want. Smile, open your eyes, love, and go on. And I know that he truly would want that. I will miss you forever, Daddy. I will miss your smile, and I love you always.
All right, so I've just got a couple of things here. I've got something from Mum, so I'll read it as Mum's written it. So Peter and I met at the Elephant Castle Tavern in Langford. In 1980, where my mum worked as the cook. He was 26, I was 16. The first time Peter saw me was when I walked into the front bar wearing maroon crushed velvet pants and waistcoat. Peter was at the bar drinking and said to the man he was drinking with that he was going to marry that girl. I think Mum cleaned that part up. He then pursued and wooed me until I said yes and would date him. It was love at first sight for Peter. As for me, he grew on me like a wart. With his cheeky smile, charm and sense of humour, he won me over. After dating for a few months, Peter decided to go to Sydney and visit with one of his army mates, Billy Cross. When he arrived at Billy's home and caught up with Billy's mum, she said, "You look a bit lost. I thought you were dating a nice girl." To which he replied that he was feeling a bit out of sorts. She told him, "You said you loved her. If that's true, get on the next plane home. Get on the next plane home and ask her to marry you." He did what he was told and caught the next flight home. That same day, he invited me to his house, and after having maybe a few too many drinks, he plucked up the courage and asked me to marry him. We married on the 1st of October, 1983. In September 84, we welcomed our first child, Casey, followed by Jamie in October 85, Samantha in November 89, Jaden in August 91. Our beautiful family was complete. In 1988, Peter left working with the SEC and started working for himself as a floor sander in Perth with advanced floor sanding. This would become his career right up until the end, although in Geraldton it was Delta floor sanding. We sold our business in 1993 and ventured off on a working holiday travelling around Australia. Our first stop was in South Australia, where we met up with one of Peter's army mates, with Robbo, that he hadn't seen in 15 years. They hit it off as though they hadn't been apart, and we ended up camping in their backyard for 3 months. Then went on to Healesville, Victoria, and visited my mum, Jill. We stayed in Healesville, Victoria until January of 94. We moved to Geraldton in October of 94, where Peter started floor sanding with Delta floor sanding. If you have had the privilege of working around him, you would know how passionate he was about this work, and there was no detail unturned. He was a well-liked and respected man throughout his working life. His reputation and work ethic was second to none, and he passed this trait on to all his children. In 2003, we were blessed with our first grandchild, Lakeisha. Then our family kept expanding. 2007, Shania, 2009, Zalia, 2011, Nate, 2014, Sally, 2016, Matilda, 2018, Amelia, 2021, Bo, and 2023, Bethany. Now our family was even more complete. In 2004, Peter had his first battle with cancer. After 3 months of treatment, he was back to his normal self and stayed cancer-free for 19 years. In September of 22, he had a heart attack, and Peter's health took a downward turn from there. In March of 23, he was diagnosed with terminal stage 4 tongue cancer and given only months to live. He had 2 months of treatment in Perth and desperately wanted to prove the doctors wrong. Unfortunately, this battle he could not win. He passed away peacefully on the 23rd of December, 2023, at home with family. Peter had a full and happy life and accomplished a lot throughout his years, but his family was the most important thing to him, and he loved each and every one of them equally and passionately as the other. To all his army mates, and there are many, he loved you all dearly. Even with the years between visits, you all talked and reminisced like it was only yesterday that you last saw each other. You were like brothers to him. To all his mates he made over the years, you meant the world to him. He was a man of few words, but he had a big heart. There are so many stories to tell of all the antics he got up to throughout his life, and I would be here all day telling them. So I'll leave you with your memories of him, to share with each other and to remember he loved a good laugh. To his brothers and sisters, he loved you dearly. He was stoked that you all came to his 70th birthday. Even though he was not well on the night, he loved every minute that he spent with you all. To his adored children and their partners and grandchildren, he couldn't have loved you more. He loved you with everything he had, plus a bit more. His "I'm tired, me too" legacy will live on. To his adored wife, Julianne, he will remain in your heart, loving you forever. Words cannot describe how I feel, but knowing you are at peace helps ease my broken heart. Rest easy with the angels, my love. Until we meet again, your darling wife, Julianne. Try and read yours.
Daddy, I've been trying to think of what to say, but couldn't until I came across this poem, and I think it sums up my thoughts. Everything. When I was little, you always knew everything. As I grew, you showed me everything. Little by little, you gave me everything. What you've been to me is everything. You loved your family fiercely and would do anything for us. We all knew and felt this. Glenn, the girls, and I have many amazing stories and memories of you. You loved playing with us as kids, and you are where I got my love of reading and woodwork. This carried on, and you loved playing with your grandkids. You never let anything stop you from this, not even the cancer or your treatments. You were in constant pain, but still would sit and listen to all of us and play with the girls. They loved throwing aeroplanes, helping you water your various veggie gardens, or simply sitting near you while you read or slept, just so we could be near you. Even in your last days, you were playing and making everyone laugh, using your walking stick to play hockey or golf in the backyard with Matilda while she used a screwdriver. As Matilda reminded me not long ago, we still have all our memories to look back at and remember Pappy playing, laughing and talking to us. You were the best dad, father-in-law and Pappy we could have wished for. It brings some comfort to know you are no longer in any pain. You can finally rest now. I miss and love you lots, Daddy.
All right. Just got a little something I wrote this morning as well. Dad was a lot of things to a lot of people. He was Dad, Daddy, Pappy, Peter, Pete, Repeat, Pedro, Uncle Peter, Gidgy, Wog, Ringo. But whatever you called him, we all have our memories and our stories. I'll miss his stories, even the ones I've heard 100 times, because they always changed and grew a little bit each time. I'll miss talking on the phone, especially during an Eagles game, although that's more shouting than it is talking. I'll miss I'm Tired, Me Too, Dr. Carl, Taekwondo, Bubble and Squeak, drinking beers, long drives for work. I'll even miss floor sanding and robust conversations. Robust conversations, but they were never arguments. I'll miss a lot of things, but I'll always remember him and the love he had for his family. He treated my best mates like one of his own, and they loved him like a father. He had a big family and a bigger heart. Love you, mate.
Thank you for sharing those special memories with us. We have listened to tales of Peter's life and will now glimpse into Peter's journey through a collection of photographs.
The road is long, with a many a winding tongue that leads us to who knows where, who knows where. But I'm strong enough to carry him. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. So on we go. His welfare is my concern. No burden is he to bear. We'll get there. All I know, he would not encumber me. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. If I'm leaning at all, I'm leaning with sadness that everyone's heart isn't filled with the gladness of love for one another. It's a long, long road from which there is no return. While we're on the way to there, why not share? And the road doesn't weigh me down at all. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. He's my brother. He ain't heavy, he's my brother. He ain't heavy. Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hang it on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos of memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. Something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life.
What beautiful photos to look back on and cherish forever. We have now reached the time in the service where family and friends are invited to come forward and place rosemary onto Peter's coffin. As you place your tribute, please take a moment to bid your final farewells, expressing your deep love, respect, and heartfelt gratitude for the time that you were blessed to share with him. Once you have placed your tribute, please return to your seats for the closing of Peter's service.
Trees of Greenland see skies of blue and I see clouds of white and the brightness of day. I like the dark and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends shaking hands, singing, how do you do? They really say, I love you. I hear babies cry and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than we'll know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like a lemon drops high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. And the dreams that you dare to, why, oh, why can't I?
You know that it would be untrue. You know that I would be a liar if I was to say to you, girl, we couldn't get much higher. Come on, baby, light my fire. Come on, baby, light my fire. Try to set the night on fire. The time to hesitate is through. No time to wallow in the mire. Try now, we can only lose, and our love become a funeral pyre. Come on, baby, light my fire. Come on, baby, light my fire. Try to set the night on fire.
Memories, we've celebrated the life of Peter, a man whose impact on your lives will forever resonate. As we prepare to bid our final farewell, let us carry with us the love and laughter that he has left on your hearts. May the stories we've shared and the memories we'll hold dear be a source of comfort in the days to come. Peter's spirit lives on in the warmth of family bonds and will forever remain alive in the stories we continue to tell and the love we continue to share. On behalf of Peter's family, they thank you for your presence here today and invite you to join them at Railways Football Club for light refreshments and to continue sharing your wonderful memories. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Peter, you are so dearly loved. You are in our hearts and our minds and will carry you with us as we move forward with our lives. Everything you have done is still done. Everyone you love is still loved. Everything we've learnt from you is still learnt. So we will let you pass from this world for which you did so much, for which you continue to do. Because when we walk this earth, we walk it with you. You leave us with the strength and pride to do what is good and right, and your memory will guide us just as you did when you were at our side. For this, we say thank you and goodbye. Go forth from this world knowing that you are loved beyond measure, that you'll be missed more than words can say, that you'll be remembered and cherished, and that love will never end. We will hold you close within us, and there you will remain, to be with us throughout our lives until we meet again. Peter, may you now rest peacefully.
You fill up my senses like a night in a forest, like the mountains in springtime, like a walk in the rain, like a storm in the desert, like a sleepy blue ocean. You fill up my senses, come fill me again. Come, let me love you, let me give my life to you. Let me drown in your laughter, let me die in your arms, let me lay down beside you, let me always be with you. Come, let me love you, come love me like the mountains in springtime, like a walk in the rain, like a storm in the desert, like a sleepy blue ocean. You fill up my senses, come fill me